Hello, I'm Sneha Koshi. Prime Minister Modi has addressed the Indian diaspora in France amid a lot of Modi praise and chants. Well, Prime Minister Modi, praising the warmth and honour he has received in France, said that this was symbolic of the deep ties between France and India, marking 25 years of strategic partnership of the two countries, congratulating the people of France on their National Day. That's Bastille Day, for which he has been invited. Prime Minister Modi also spoke of Mahatma Gandhi's praise for France for explaining to the world the importance of liberty, equality and fraternity. Amid massive cheer, he also said footballer Mbappe has more fans in Indian villages than even in France. Prime Minister Modi is on a two-day visit to France. Earlier on Thursday, Prime Minister Modi held delegation-level talks with his French counterpart, Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne.
साथियों, भारत फ्रांस पार्टनरशिप को मजबूत करने वाला एक और सेक्टर है डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। ये इंडस्ट्री 4.0 उसका भी बहुत बड़ा आधार है। आज दुनिया का, और आपको जरूर गर्व होगा ये सुन करके, आज दुनिया का 46% रियल टाइम डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन भारत में होता है। फ्रांस में भारत के यूपीआई के उपयोग को लेकर भी समझौता हो गया है। अब मैं तो समझौता करके चला जाऊंगा, आगे बढ़ाने का काम आपका है। भारत और फ्रांस 21वीं सदी की अनेक चुनौतियों से निपट रहे हैं। इसलिए इस अहम समय में फ्रांस भारत के बीच की स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का महत्व और ज्यादा बढ़ गया है। आज दुनिया नए वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर की तरफ बढ़ रही है। भारत का सामर्थ्य और भारत की भूमिका बहुत तेजी से बदल रही है। भारत इस समय G20 का प्रेसिडेंट है। पहली बार किसी देश की प्रेसिडेंसी में ऐसा हो रहा है जब उस देश के कोने कोने में 200 से ज्यादा बैठकें हो रही है। पूरा G20 समूह भारत के सामर्थ्य को देख रहा है, उससे मंत्रमुग्ध है। क्लाइमेट चेंज हो, ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन हो, आतंकवाद हो, कट्टरवाद हो, हर चुनौती से निपटने में भारत का अनुभव, भारत का प्रयास दुनिया के लिए मददगार साबित हो रहा है। भारत का हजारों वर्ष पुराना इतिहास, भारत का अनुभव विश्व कल्याण के लिए भारत के प्रयासों का दायरा बहुत बड़ा है। भारत मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी है और भारत मॉडल ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी भी है। ये हमारी बहुत बड़ी शक्ति है, बहुत बड़ी ताकत है।
दर्शकों को एलईसी
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed by the French President Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee Palace in Paris for the private dinner that is being hosted by President Macron. And the third Sherpas meeting under India's G20 presidency was held in Karnataka's Hampi. This is chaired by India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant amid intense deliberations to co-author the leaders' declaration to be eventually adopted by the G20 leaders in the New Delhi summit. Will the wording around the Ukraine war be a stumbling block? NDTV's Pratibha Raman spoke to India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant.
You did emphasize on sustainable development goals and climate finance. Did you face any kind of resistance from some of the members? So
No, we've had a very positive and constructive response. The SDG action plan has earlier been discussed and finalized for 7-year period up to 2030 in the development ministerial meeting, and we are taking that forward in the Sherpa track. And even on climate action and climate finance. In fact, every country has stressed on that, and there's been a very, very positive response. The Indian presidency so far has received a very positive response on all its priorities, which had been spelled out by the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, earlier. And our presidency has been very, very inclusive, and as the Prime Minister has aimed at making AU a member of G20. Our presidency has been very decisive, it's been very action-oriented, and it's been very ambitious. And we hope to achieve a very good and positive and constructive result.
Are Indian negotiators hopeful that contentious issues like the Ukraine conflict would actually be resolved?
So we are discussing all developmental issues, ambitious issues on development of SDG, of growth, inclusive growth, of multilateral institutions, of accelerating SDG implementation, of women-led development here. We are not getting into issues. At this stage, that's not an important issue for us.
So by the end of the 3-day affair, will that be resolved, sir?
Most of the ambitious and developmental issues will be resolved.
So nothing on the Ukraine then?
That's not an important issue at this stage for us.
And India on Thursday hit back strongly at the European Parliament for adopting a resolution over the recent clashes in Manipur, saying that such interference in the country's internal affairs is unacceptable and reflects a colonial mindset. He said that the Indian authorities at all levels, including the judiciary, have taken cognizance of the situation in Manipur and are taking steps to maintain peace and harmony and law and order, adding that the European Parliament should make better utilization of its time, focusing on its own internal matters. And unprecedented scenes in the national capital as the Yamuna water swollen with the water that was coming from Himachal and Uttarakhand has overflowed into banks and entered key roads, colonies, and even moved right up to the Red Fort. Traffic was a nightmare as several roads, including the outer ring road, was flooded, and some sections of the metro also closed. In fact, it's not just in the national capital. The water now has even overflowed into the roads and colonies of Noida, which is in Uttar Pradesh, bordering Delhi. Delhi Chief Minister asked people to stay home and opt to work from home. Schools and colleges have been closed. Thousands have lost their homes in Old Delhi, Mayur Vihar and Yamuna Bazaar. Prime Minister Modi, who was on an official visit to Paris, called Home Minister Amit Shah and Delhi Lieutenant Governor Saxena to take stock of the flood situation in the national capital.
The iconic Red Fort, surrounded by a river. The national capital's most busy roads come to a standstill in the worst ever Delhi floods, which have turned thousands of lives upside down. This very spot where I was reporting from yesterday with knee to waist deep water now has so much water that I can't even stand. and I have to sit in a boat. I'm sitting in an NDRF rescue boat, which is going inside to rescue people because there are several houses here. The shops were shut yesterday because the flood water entered people's houses. As you can see, all the shutters are down. Half of the shops are completely submerged. They are underwater. And this used to be the bustling monastery market once, but now it's completely underwater. As the Yamuna water entered posh Delhi bungalows and civil lines and completely submerged cars, those without proper homes were left out on the flooded streets. सर आप यहाँ से कहीं जाएंगे नहीं, कुछ सोच रहे हैं कहीं और जाके रहें, यहीं पर रहेंगे, पानी और बढ़ेगा तो? So they don't have an option clearly, that even if the water goes up, they have to stay here. The homeless try to make it through another day, waiting for the water to subside. As the Yamuna water, filled with garbage and health risks, even entered places of refuge. Hanuman Mandir in Old Delhi in Kashmiri Gate, which is now completely inundated. As you can see, the temple has been shut, and inside also there's water just entering. And this is also the temple premises where we are coming to you from, and there's knee-deep water inside the temple premises. As thousands lost their homes in Old Delhi, Mayur Vihar and Yamuna Bazar, 12 teams of the NDRF rescued many. Several people who are stranded, the NDRF is trying to rescue them. There are kids, there are elderly, there are women, all who have packed their bags, and this is how they're making their way out to the NDRF boat that we are currently sitting in. पिछले भी आपने बाढ़ देखी होंगी, आपके सास ससुर ने भी देखी होगी, इतना नहीं है। तो कल यहाँ पे पानी कितना था? क्या कल तो थोड़ा सूखा था?
कल पानी था ही नहीं यहाँ पे, सुबह आया 4 बजे बाद।
फ्रिज वगैरह, गद्दे, रजाई सब नीचे के नीचे ही रह गए। खाने पीने का सामान सारा नीचे रह गया। और कितने राम बदन? कोई जरूरी सामान जैसे जरूरी बस कागजात वगैरह, जो आपकी निवेश की चीजें होंगी, ज्वेलरी होगी, ये जरूरी सामान है। हाँ जी, वो बचा लिया।
While hundreds rescued, many are still stuck as they refuse to leave what they built all their lives. In Mayur Vihar, one of the worst affected areas, even the rescued will come back to the same flood-prone area for the lack of better options.
मजबूरी रही होगी, यमुना में रहना पड़ा। हाँ, मजबूरी है बहुत ज़्यादा।
But while till yesterday the inundation was limited to the floodplains, today it entered the main city, flowing just 400 meters away from the Chief Minister's own house. Nobody ever thought Delhi would see such a day. It sounds, feels and looks like I'm standing next to a river. I'm standing on a river bank, or I'm standing in the middle of a river. There are actual waves here. It feels like this is a river, but it's not. I'm standing right behind the Red Fort, which is one of the monuments that are synonymous with Delhi, one of the monuments that are held with the identity of Delhi. With a stable water level in the Yamuna since 1 p.m., the water level is expected to recede over the coming few days. But as people took away parts of their lives, putting it all back together will be a long struggle. In New Delhi, with Tanushree Pandey and camera person Ashok Mahale, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
And in Himachal Pradesh, people in Manali are picking up the pieces after devastating floods there. Schools and houses are full of slush and sediments, and it's a long road to recovery. Ankit Tyagi reports.
These are teachers cleaning this school themselves. This is also one of the classrooms which is being cleaned. This was filled with slush which is being cleaned at this moment. आप यहाँ पे ही पढ़ाते हैं, टीचर हैं आप यहाँ पे?
हाँ जी।
बड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ रही है आपको क्लीन करने के लिए।
तब अब क्या करें, मजबूरी की हालत में तो ऐसा ही करना पड़ेगा, गंभीर स्थिति है, क्या करें। अब कुछ ना कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा। थोड़े से पेरेंट्स बुलाए हम लोगों ने, हमारी हेल्प कर रहे हैं, हम लोगों के लिए बहुत है।
वापस आना है स्कूल पर जल्दी पढ़ने के लिए?
हाँ जी।
How in 1 minute life changes, कैसे एकदम लोगों की जिंदगी बदल जाती है। आपका सर घर था यहाँ पे?
मकान था।
क्या नाम है सर आपका?
भीमचंद है मेरा नाम।
भीमचंद जी। भीमचंद जी। जी। कितनी उम्र है सर आपकी?
अब मेरी हो गई जी 73 साल।
73 इयर्स जी। कहाँ था सर घर? जरा दिखाना जरा अपना, मैं एक बार इधर दिखा दो।
जो ये पत्थर नहीं है,
वो पत्थर जो है?
हाँ जी, जो बड़ा पत्थर है, बस यहाँ से था यहाँ तक था पूरा।
उस दीवार तक?
हाँ जी, उस दीवार तक था यहाँ। मेरा।
पूरा घर गया आपका?
हाँ जी, पूरा बह गया महाराज जी, हमने तो कुछ भी नहीं निकाल दिया, यही कपड़े निकाल दिए हैं बस, और कुछ नहीं है।
जो शरीर पे कपड़े हैं
बस
यही बचा पाया आप?
बस यही बचे पाए, बाकी कुछ नहीं निकाल दिया। उतने में आ ही गया, बाढ़ फटा ही है, क्या करना। खाने पीने का साधन कुछ नहीं है, हम तो ऐसे ही है, कपड़े वगैरह ऐसे ही है जी।
आंटी आप भी आ जाओ इधर।
हाँ जी, ऐसे आ रहे हैं, क्या किया है।
आपकी वाइफ है?
हाँ जी सर।
95 में भी बाढ़ आई थी यहाँ?
हाँ जी,
तब आप लोगों का बच गया था घर?
तब तो बच गए थे,
हाँ।
अभी तो सारा ही चले गया, कुछ भी नहीं निकाला ही नहीं, कुछ भी। खाने पीने का सामान भी खत्म, कपड़े भी खत्म, कंबल रजाई वगैरह सारा ही खत्म।
Well, we have lots more for you, but for now, a quick break. And 3 migrant workers have been shot at and injured in a terrorist attack in Kashmir's Shopian. The injured have been shifted to the hospital. Police have said that these are targeted terror attacks against them. 2 terrorists reportedly are behind the targeted attack on the migrant workers, according to officials. And police in Patna used tear gas, water cannons and batons to prevent BJP workers from marching towards the Bihar Assembly to protest against corruption and the government doing away with the domicile requirement of the recruitment of teachers. Heavy security had been put in place in the city to prepare for the protest march, which began at Gandhi Maidan. The protest is part of the larger allegation of corruption that the BJP has levelled against the Nitish Kumar-led government in the state. The BJP has now claimed that one of their leaders was killed in this, in the retaliation of the lathi charge and the actions taken by the police to counter the protest.
देखिए, सबसे दुखद तो ये हमारा एक कार्यकर्ता विजय कुमार सिंह, जो जहानाबाद का जिला महामंत्री है, उसकी मृत्यु हो गई। पुलिस ने इतनी बुरी तरह से पिटाई की कि अस्पताल पहुंचते पहुंचते उसकी मौत हो गई। हम पुलिस पर हत्या का मुकदमा दर्ज करेंगे और ये सब कुछ नीतीश कुमार के इशारे पर हो रहा है। ये 50,000 लोग थे, शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे, न कहीं तोड़ फोड़ थी, न कोई हिंसा थी। उसके बाद भी अश्रु गैस का गोला छोड़ा गया, लाठी चार्ज किया गया और 2 दर्जन से ज़्यादा हमारी महिला और युवा कार्यकर्ता घायल हो गए।
And a special court in Delhi convicted all accused in the Chhattisgarh coal scam. The case relates to the irregularities in allocating a coal block in Chhattisgarh. The court has convicted Rajya Sabha MP Vijay Darda, his son Devendra Darda, and ex-coal secretary H.C. Gupta and 3 others in the case. And Uttar Pradesh police has filed charge sheet in gangster Atiq Ahmed's murder case. It's a 2,000-page case diary with 56-page charge sheet in the case, according to reports. And sources have said that there are enough evidences against all 3 shooters. Extensive forensic investigation by the special investigation team in this case has been conducted, according to sources. Atiq and his brother were shot dead while in police custody earlier this year.